Hello. In continuing with our efforts to come out with the real, hard-hitting and no-holds-barred analysis on different topics and different news and different aspects of economics and politics and in generally, in today's video, I would like to discuss about this claim of Reliance Jio that by next year they will be coming out with the homegrown 5G technology solutions for the mobile. And I compare it, this claim, I compare it with, why I compare it with the claims of Theranos. So, uh, in continuing with this, what is Theranos and all these things, let's talk. Namaste and hello, this is Neeraj here and welcome to my channel. So, let's start with what is actually just why I believe this claim of Reliance Jio of 5G technology solution, own 5G technology solution to the claim made by Theranos, which used to be a darling of the startup, which was a darling startup in 2005 to 2015 in Silicon Valley in California and USA. So let me just give you a little background about Theranos because many of you may not be knowing, and then we will discuss about why Reliance Jio also, this claim seems to be very similar. Theranos was started by a very young dropout, Stanford dropout technologist woman, Elizabeth Holmes, and it claimed to be making new technology revolution in diagnostic in medical diagnostic field, where just by the one drop of blood, all the diagnosis analysis of blood and regarding the disease in that can be done in place of in normally the huge amount of blood or a venous syringe needs to be taken for the real analysis, and it takes 2-3 days time to get the results of this blood analysis. But this Theranos claim to be have the new path-breaking technology which would revolutionize the world of this diagnostic world, where just by a small handheld device, kind of similar, not like big diagnostic machines required, and you can with just one drop of blood, all the diagnostic and analysis of the blood can be done and all the different tests can be done. So let's come to this claim of Reliance also. So first of all, how this why I consider it to be this claim to be similar to Theranos, and then Theranos that became the darling of this startup marquee investors and the big political leaders, and how she grew into this company grew into influence, and how it fell down and became like it closed down and lost millions of this private equity and this big leaders investors money. Say it's once upon a time it was valued at $10 billion at the height of its fame of so-called path-breaking technology, and it all came out to be fraud. Basically it all came out to be that claim was all false. The same way, what I consider is that how a Reliance Jio, basically it started as a mobile telecom provider company, can claim to be with just coming out with the revolutionary technology, when the full world, and till now also what Reliance also uses, that 4G technology, it's basically all the telecom gears or equipments and the technology is manufactured or the supplied by the 3 or 4 companies in the world, which is basically Ericsson, Nokia, Qualcomm, maybe Verizon, and this Huawei and ZTE, this Chinese companies. How suddenly this oil and gas company, which has started some 4 years before this mobile networking, mobile telecommunication service company like mobile phone, and suddenly it claims to come out with that path breaking own 5G domestic developed. Even now also, if you look at it, all the equipment manufacturing of this 4G 5G or whatever it is all these traditional 4 companies in the world which make Qualcomm, Verizon, uh, Ericsson, and Nokia, and Huawei and ZTE, some of these Chinese companies. So why I find a lot of similarities, that even Theranos had come out and had swayed this big marquee political leaders also, were swayed by the lure or the vision, so-called path-breaking vision of this CEO of Theranos. And who were the marquee investors who got swayed by this claims of Theranos was George Shultz. He was the former Secretary of State in United States. Then James Mattis, who was Donald Trump's first the Defense Secretary. Then Henry Kissinger, as everybody knows, as former Defense Secretary and Secretary of State. Rupert Murdoch, the media giant. And also the Joe Biden, the Vice President during Obama's second term. And he had also visited this Theranos facility and claimed it to be the path-breaking facility, and it will revolutionize the medical diagnostic field. And what happened? Everything came crashing down because Theranos had no technology as such. There was nothing. What they used to do is that they used to claim that they have made some handheld device, and but they used to draw separately the big blood and used to analyze on the normal big diagnostic machines provided by Siemens, and used to supply this diagnostic analysis report to the patients. They used to make false claims like this way. In the same way, what I believe is that by this Reliance's persona and the CEO's persona of this big giant persona and success of its oil and gas and a traditional company, and with the money, that investors are also getting just blinded by that whatever the CEO of Reliance Jio or Reliance Industries is talking about, the vision, that vision they take it as that realistic. That is the problem with most of the tech startups and the new age startup companies or the new age investors of the tech investors. They get easily beguiled by that big vision of somebody's vision. Vision doesn't mean that it is the reality. It is grounded in reality. Vision can be anything. I can also vision many things, but it should be grounded in the reality. It should have some practical aspect, and also it should be followed by that history or that background of that company or the people or the technology of that company. So who are the investors who have been beguiled by this Reliance Jio's vision of new technology of 5G and all these things? It's Facebook, Google, Intel, Qualcomm, and hosts of this California, means USA based tech private equity investors which specialize in tech. So I take, just like, the second point is that just like Theranos used to claim that they used to show that they used to make a big demonstration of their handheld device. They will come out and say that this is our device, and then they will distract the attention of those people by something else. And because device was never functioning properly, it was always a malfunctioning, and it was no device. And then they will go back the door and do the analysis on that real-time basis, and then they will provide after a few days to those people. And the same way, Reliance Jio also, the second claim is similarity. It looks very funny when they come out with a Geo glass. In today's AGM, they come out and say that this is a new technology glass which will show you the mixed reality. What is mixed reality? What I see is only black and foggy reality. Means this is another hint for the investors to understand that this is the kind of vision you will have, a blurred vision. Okay, so don't get into by this kind of claims of Reliance Jio. The third is, when we talk about that, okay, what will happen to this Reliance Industries main core business, oil and gas, in which they have already invested $60 billion. $60 billion. So world over, the shale, total shale, BP, every company is coming out with the huge impairment because of the decline in the oil and gas prices, huge impairment cost taken into their balance sheet. So I believe this is all this show of this technology and the vision of the new businesses. It's all to hide the big impairment cost, the big losses coming out into its traditional oil and gas and petrochemical basis. You will see huge write-offs when this quarter's results will come. We will see all that thing. The third is when they talk about that Reliance investors, that we will have this Reliance Jio and Reliance Retail as the future and the world's the top 10 retail companies, with 12,000 stores. Just fact and figure is that they had sold last year, the revenue is about $22 billion of Reliance retail stores. And what is the EBITDA? I'm not talking about the net profit, I'm talking about EBITDA, earnings before interest and depreciation and tax. EBITDA, they did only $1.2 billion, only mere 5%. And look at this DMart, that other company which is very successful in India, or the future retail and all these companies. They all make around 7 to 9% of EBITDA. And after that also, the huge expansion and capex cost will be there. Another third point regarding this Reliance Jio only, when they talk about this big expansion and big and talking about that with raising of money from all these marquee investors, they have become net on a net debt basis, they have become zero net debt, means their cash they have raised more than they have debt. This is also I think it's a kind of a too stretched a statement. I would not say false, but if you take the underlying debt and underlying future expansion which a capex they will have to, just one point is that their Reliance Jio is having a spectrum, right? It's like Vodafone has and Airtel. So that spectrum which they are holding in 800 megahertz and some other I don't know the details, and let's not go to, just let's facts, is expiring. That spectrum license is expiring by 2021, next year. So they will have to, then this is I'm talking about 4G, and when they get into the 5G, whatever the government at that point of time decides to hold the license, or after the successful implementation and the commissioning only, government will release those waves, spectrum waves, and decide about the fees of that. So rest aside, even continuing 4G, their all spectrum is getting expired, or the license is getting expired in 2021, next year. That also, in my estimate, it will entail minimum investment of $6 to $7 billion at today's rate, if they will have to again buy those spectrum or pay for the license in auction. So that will entail another investment of $6 to $7 billion. So people are, and all these media channels also are forgetting. Just like in case of Theranos, everybody got blinded by, including Forbes, and its CEO was featured on that, the top CEO, youngest CEO in the world, and Forbes and Wall Street and CNBC and all the T channels. It had become the darling of investors. They become kind of a celebrity status that Theranos had attained during those times. So here also the reality, people are forgetting that they will soon have to spend a lot of money for again getting, even continuing these 4G services. And forget about the additional money coming into for the 5G, if at all this 5G. So first of all, let's get the facts clear, is that in lot of capex is going to happen, even if for Reliance Retail. And if oil and gas business is not going to support, because whatever said and done, at the end of the day, still huge amount of money, even right now also with 30% down this oil and gas, still it will have 65% of the profitability coming from oil and gas sector only. So how Reliance Jio or Reliance Retail can survive without the support of this main Reliance Industries? That is the reason, if it is so confident, why it is not dehiving and make it at a separate listed company, Reliance Jio and Reliance Retail. Same technique was also used by Theranos during this time, when they were asked that why you want to remain private only and not list it. They said that we have more freedom, more vision we can implement being in private. The fact is that remaining private, you are less scrutinized, because you are not compelled or mandated to provide all the information and all the detailed information and detailed documentation as for the publicly listed companies. And that is the reason I believe that they will continue to hold Reliance Jio and Reliance Retail also like this way, as the 100% subsidiary of Reliance Industries, and not have it off in a separate listed company, which is another subterfuge to keep on investors interested into this Reliance. So this was, in a way, this is why I've listed these few points, that why I consider the claim of Reliance Jio's that 5G technology similar to the claims made by Theranos before Theranos went bust and down and out, and now nobody knows about this Theranos. So if you want to know also more about Theranos, apart from what I told you, you can Google it and you can understand these companies and what all it went through. It's a very fascinating story. That's it from my side. I thought that this makes a interesting viewpoint, and not many people would be covering, or everybody would be praising because of Reliance's hold in India's investors' mind, and in generally its political connections. So not many newspaper will come out, or not many reports will come out adverse to this or criticizing this kind of claims. So that is the reason I thought I would put up some facts and figures, and just try to educate and make people aware about the facts and figures of Reliance's claim. That's it from my side. And if you like, you please put a like and share it with your Mexican friends, and subscribe it if you have not subscribed. Thanks. Watch again with some interesting ideas. Ciao from Neeraj from Moscow.